Brothers and sisters, Mrs. and Misters, and all of cyberspace, you have chosen to be on the Dented Can Show, and we're delighted you're here. He's Max, I'm Dobie. We are the Dented Cans. We're not trying to be bitter, we're trying to get better. Talking about some deep subjects, going through the alphabet. Today, it's the C word.
No.
We all know what the C word is.
That's right.
The C word. That's not the one we're going to be using today. And if you don't know what that one is, you can Google somewhere else, and I'm sure with one click of a button you can find more than you can handle. But today's C word is
choice. Choice.
Life is all about choices, and that seems oversimplified, but it's not. You can choose a lot of things in your life, and we, as Dented Cans, came from an origin place that did not provide the opportunity to make good choices because the people that were in charge did not make good choices. Sometimes we here were not a good choice. They might not have should have had kids, but here we are anyway against our will. How can we make good choices to undo the bad choices that our parents made and that we have made until a certain point?
Well, we can go all the way back to where our choices were originated from. So, first of all, in our environments, yours was a little rough, right?
Yours wasn't?
Not as rough as yours.
Shit is shit. Pig shit, cow shit, still shit. Stinks in a different way. Yeah, I agree.
I do think that, when you're a kid, it's hard to have a choice. You don't have a choice.
No.
And that's hard. And so when you're a kid and you're in a really bad environment, the only thing you can do is survive. So you learn how to survive. And sometimes how you survive or those skills that you learn, you carry with you the rest of your life. And unfortunately, I think that's probably one of the biggest characteristics of a dented can is that they're carrying those defense mechanisms with them all the way through their life. And when really, if they could just reverse engineer it and figure out where it came from in the first place.
That's what we're trying to do.
Right. They would have the ability to make better choices.
Install a blueprint.
That's right. And so I grew up in an angry house, a reactionary house.
Sure.
First of all, I was a product of a teenage pregnancy. Okay, my mother was 17 years old in the 60s. That was, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to say that was common, but it was still a teenage pregnancy. And I try to look from her perspective, probably really humiliating, for her to not be able to finish high school until later. And be pregnant,
Sure.
And my father was 21 years old and was not educated, hadn't even finished high school, And so if I look at both of them from an empathetic standpoint or a human standpoint, now that I'm much older than they were when they had me.
Way older, yeah. Your kids are older than that.
Yeah. I'm thinking about how hard that must have been for them,
Sure.
And so I try to think of it from that perspective. But when I grew up, it was anger. Anger ruled the house. It ruled the house. So if somebody spilled milk, get angry, right? If someone let the dog out, get angry. If you stubbed your toe and knocked something over, get angry. Every single thing was dealt with anger. Everything.
What if the dog stubbed its paw and spilled the milk? Then there's triple the anger.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
That damn dog never liked it anyway.
Sure.
So, yeah. And so, anyway, choice, now we do as adults, we do have a choice. So, here's a tough one.
Okay.
We have the choice to not be angry at the people that hurt us in the past. We have that choice. Because when you think about it, you're angry at someone who's dead.
Yeah.
I'm angry at somebody who's dead. I wanted an apology and never got it. You just wanted someone to hug you and say, I'm proud of you and I'm sorry and I love you.
Yep.
Okay?
That's what we all want.
And you never got it.
Never got it.
Never got it.
Not from him.
Right. And so, and we'll talk about when we get to G.
The F word. Father.
Yeah. And G grandparents.
G grandparents too.
Raised you. All of our episodes, we're going to try to get all the way through the whole thing.
The alphabet. I don't know what we're going to do for
alphabet.
Q and X and Z, but we'll think of something.
Skip them.
There are so many
we
dents
have a choice.
in our can. We have 26 dents in our can. The alphabet.
But I mean, we do have a choice. We have a choice on how to react in everything in our life. And I think that certain things are triggers for people that are damaged.
God, yes.
You know, and so if you see somebody who reminds you of your father, who maybe has an N, we're going to get to narcissism later, but yeah, but you know, see somebody who has maybe some narcissistic traits.
Sure.
Narcissistic is such a buzzword today.
It's a buzzword today.
Yeah, it is, and you know, we'll get into what the real
What it
meaning
really
of it
is and
Yeah.
what people think it is.
Right, exactly.
It's like awesome.
Yeah.
Not everything's awesome.
No.
Well, this hot dog's awesome. No, it tastes good.
Yeah,
Mount Rushmore is awesome.
Exactly.
You know, okay.
Unless you're a Native American. But anyway, so
Well,
yeah,
that's the N word.
right, exactly. So, you know, do you have a choice over an angry reaction right now?
Yes. And I've been making it possibly with the interaction that we've had over the years, because I know you're trying as well, and you have anger issues about the same things that I do. So we talked about this in depth, which we're going to do here. But more and more, I find myself, it's like, why would I get angry? Gee, you know, that might have made me angry in the past. At least pop the clutch and take a step back and think about it before I pop. And more often than not, I don't get angry anymore.
Well, good.
Is that part of age? Maybe.
I'm wondering. Part of
maturity?
age and
Maybe.
less testosterone? Even though, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Part of it, I think, is a choice that I know it's easy to go back to that place, and it's a knee-jerk reaction. You don't think about it because that's the way it's always been. Somebody spills the milk, you flip out. Well, maybe we don't have to do that anymore, but it's got to be a conscious choice, and it's got to be you got to be prepared. I think every day I spend at least 30 seconds, if not 2 or 3 minutes, saying, okay, I'm going to have a good day. I say it out loud because I need to hear it. Other people maybe write it out. They need to see it. I don't know. Do you do anything to prepare for a day? Maybe just go out there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Right behind you is a journal. I journal all the time, every morning. And there was a book, I think it was in the early 90s, maybe late 80s, called The Artist's Way.
The Artist's Way. Julia Cameron.
Right. One of the items, we'll put a link to that book in the show notes here as well.
Okay.
That way, if you want to get a copy, we'll get a commission. You know, one of the things that I liked about The Artist's Way was to dump your thoughts, the morning papers. Do you remember that?
Morning papers, yeah. To physically write it out with your hand.
Right.
Which I'm a typist. But if you're a handwriter, that's okay.
I'm not a handwriter, but I do that.
She seems to think that's the way to do it.
I think it is too, and it's really made a difference.
Why do you think that?
Because how else can you monitor your thoughts? Really? So if you want to record your thoughts, I suppose you could, or you could type them out, okay? But there is something in your brain that's different when you handwrite something versus type. It's a different, and I'm not smart enough to explain it, but I know that if anybody cared to research that, there's something different. I don't know if it's the neurotransmitters. There's something different about writing on a page than there is about typing.
Really quickly, I was raised by my grandparents. My grandmother was a cold, German, icy bitch. She was. She had perfect handwriting. She was in her school, in her little town that she grew up in. Her handwriting, she was proud of it. She won awards, and she constantly mocked mine. Mine's not good. It's sloppy. It's wrong. It's blah, 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 blah. To this day, I have anxiety issues, if you want to call it that, about handwriting because I've been mocked about it from her, my mother figure, my whole life. I just had to admit, so I'm not doubting that what you're saying is right, but see these little triggers that we all have that just stop you from doing all these things that could be really wonderful because one person did not approve of it. It has affected my entire life to this minute. That's decades ago. She's long dead. But because she didn't like my handwriting, I don't want to do any handwriting. I'll type.
So that's you have a choice now to let that go.
I do, and I will. And that's why I want to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
It seems like it's minutia.
Right.
It is not minutia.
It's not minutia. They're actually they're anchors in your brain.
Yes.
And here we are in our 50s,
Mm-hmm.
right? And maybe if we had a channel like this when we were younger, who knows? Maybe we would have. Or
Mr. Rogers didn't cut it. No, actually, he was very good.
I love Mr. Rogers.
I do love Mr. Rogers. And we're taking it to a 21st century level.
Right.
Bless Mr. Rogers. He was great.
He was fantastic. But as far as like the morning papers, getting back to that, what I have found that I can, no matter what, so it's not edited. So if you get up in a funky mood, the goal with the morning papers, my interpretation of what she was trying to say, is to let that funky mood come right out on the paper. What's beautiful about that is it's almost like a dump, like you're taking out the garbage. Get the head trash dumped into the receptacle.
What do you do? How long does it take? What do you think about? What do you write? I'm not familiar with.
I go 3 pages handwritten just about every day. 3 pages. So and sometimes it's just, if I don't have anything wrong, sometimes what I will do is I will go into thankfulness to God. And I'll write to God. And I know that...
Would you send him an email? BigGuy1@AOL.com?
No.
Big G at Gmail?
What I do is I think G could be God, or we could do a G2, and it could be gratefulness when we get to G.
Gratitude, gratefulness, God, whatever.
Right.
It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
But I really do believe that going back then and looking at yourself, your thoughts, if you're being honest. Now, if you're writing your morning papers or journaling in order for someone else to read it, you're making a mistake. Mm-hmm. Flat out. So okay. Be honest, 100% transparent, and let that out. What's really weird is that I do that. I do read the Bible. I do read a couple of other things, in rotation, like a chapter or something like that. Mm-hmm. You ask what I do. That's what I do. And then I exercise. This is all before I go to work. But it's made such an incredible difference in my life.
Do you sleep?
Yeah, absolutely. I sleep really well.
Okay, so I'm saying, how early to get up to do all these things? I'm very impressed. That's a lot of stuff,
I have to get up at 4:45, 5 o'clock, but that's easier when you're older for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it's easier for me. Mm-hmm. But I go to bed. Pretty early every night, so I'm not a late night guy anymore. I used to be, but I don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. I think everything, you have a choice. You have a choice all day, every day. You have a choice to stay up late. You have a choice to go to bed early. You know which is better for you, right? You have a choice to exercise. You have a choice not to exercise. You know what's better for you. You have a choice to eat poorly. You have a choice to eat nutritiously and feed your body what it needs on a cellular level.
Whole wheat ding-dongs.
That's the choice you've made.
That's the choice I've made. Yes.
So, but with choice, getting back to what we were saying, an angry response is a choice.
Amen. We need to talk to this, even if it makes you flinch. Because sometimes it makes me flinch, but that's why we get better.
Right.
That's how we get better.
Yeah.
There's a woman now, that I went to school with, who I really hit it off. I like this woman a lot. I liked her as a girl. I thought I couldn't talk to her because I was so insecure, dented, child, miserable, blah, blah, blah. She got married to a guy that I used to work with. And I thought, boy, you know what? She's a sweet girl. She just couldn't have a purer heart. I thought she's got the life of, she's a teacher. She helps kids. She's wonderful. And she has got a miserable marriage. And her kids are her life, and her husband and her do not get along at all. And she could choose to leave him, and she doesn't, because she said, I made a commitment, and he's my husband, and it's not comfortable, and I respect her for it. And I'm not saying to choose divorce, but we choose the people we can be with. Sometimes you choose differently. I know if you are a religious person and you're supposed to get married for life and blah, 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 but if it's that miserable, maybe you could choose again. So I'm just saying, if there's some people that are in a bad relationship, maybe you do choose again. But it is choices, and sometimes we don't realize the power of choice that we have. Well, I chose that 20 years ago when you're a completely different person in a completely different mindset, and you live with a bad choice. I think it makes the bad worse. Do you not agree?
I think you're right, and I think for Dented Cans, I know that many people in your life that you have extricated for your life, you extricated them because they made you angry. And then you, maybe had an angry response, and maybe there was FUs exchanged, and then clip, it's over with, right? I have the same experience as that, okay? And that comes from our pain. That's definitely not the right choice to end stuff like that. That's definitely
an amputator. You're not an amputator?
I don't think it's healthy. I have been an amputator, but I don't think it's healthy, because I don't think that's the goal. I mean, I think that you can disagree with somebody without the FUs and without the rage and without the anger. I really do.
That's what the show is about for this.
Right. And I think I do think it's a choice. But again, some of those people are triggers because you're going back to, You're going back to, they did me wrong. Don't they see what I'm doing for them? Why are they doing me wrong? And then we're putting ourselves into that kind of that damaged victim mentality. And then the only way we know how, because we're listening to that voice we've always listened to our whole life, is to put them up, and let's fight our way out of this, and let's cut that person off. Maybe that person's not looking at the particular whatever it was, whatever the incident was, the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not. And maybe their intention wasn't to be malicious or evil. Maybe their intention was solely they didn't look at it the same way. And that's really hard for damaged people or angry people to consider. You're like, oh, absolutely not. They are, you've condemned them. But again, we're hyper-focused on their transgressions, and we look at our own with rose-colored glasses. We're like, well, I may have made a mistake, but probably not. It was just an example of another's mistake.
As my father used to say, and I don't quote him often, he farts through sacred shorts.
Did you really say that?
He did. He had some funny sayings. He did, and that was one of them. I will give it to him. Another one he said was, sympathy is between shit and syphilis in the dictionary. You're not getting it from me.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'm sure he stole it from somewhere else. He's not creative enough to come up with it. But he did have a creative side. And he chose
There's
not
something
to
good
use
about
it.
your dad.
Yeah, that's one of the few things that I think he was good at. And I have a half brother, Bruce, who I consider my brother. I love him. And we hadn't talked in probably 30 years. We got back together, and he had a whole lot of issues with the old man. And we got together, and he said the old man was very artistic, and he loved music. And when he died, they found in his archives recordings of us on the radio.
Of you and I?
You and I.
Oh, wow.
Ad loop.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
When he died?
When he died.
So he was listening to you, maybe?
He was listening to us, yeah. And I was on a station in Milwaukee and a station in Chicago, and he listened to us. And I had articles in the paper, both places. We had it in the Chicago paper when we got the job, and in Milwaukee, too. New morning show. He had those articles.
Well, that's neat,
I didn't know until after he died.
Yeah, but that there's got to be a part of you, if you choose, since we're talking about choice, to
why didn't you tell me?
To bask in that a little bit.
Just one little, hey kid, you did all right.
Well, he didn't choose that.
I don't think he knew how to.
I don't think so either. And I think that's kind of my bigger point. The people that hurt us so badly, clearly they were hurting.
Yeah.
And so somebody who maybe is watching this, maybe one person will get this while we're doing this. Maybe just one person.
Maybe people have long tuned out. But I hope that if you're with us this long, let's stay with it to the end because we have a happy ending.
That's right. We always do.
And you make the good choices. If you make 1% of good choices better for 100 days, you're twice as good as you were 100 days ago.
Right. Do it for a whole year.
For a whole year.
365%.
And that's the thing. I think what we've done, we've known each other long enough now where there has been major strides where we started in life. And we're at our peak. We had reached our dream. And we're both hurting inside, not knowing how to deal with it. Now we don't have our dream. We were cast aside, and we're doing better as people than we ever have. And that's the goal for you watching this. You've got lumps, dents, whatever you want to call it in your life. If you can just deal with it one at a time, every day, all the time, and know there's a community that you can come to, which is right here, for other dented cans all over the world. You don't have to go to the people maybe that don't. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones that give us the most grief. You ain't going to do it. You're an idiot. You've always been an idiot. You can't do that. Screw them in the butt with a cactus. And I mean that with love. They're not here now. We're here. We need to make the choices to hang around people that makes us grow, not toxic assholes. That's it. So that's a positive that I got. Do you have a positive to close it off, Max?
No cactuses and no middle fingers. What I would like to say is if you could make a difference, one choice that you could make since we were centering this whole thing on choice is to make your kids feel, if you're a parent, emotionally safe. That's a choice you have. Because dented cans, as they go through life, don't have that opportunity. That's the reason why they're in pain. They don't feel emotionally safe. Let your kids know that they are emotionally safe. And let them feel things the way they're going to feel them. Don't force your feelings on them. That's the hard lesson that I had to learn, that my adult children told me and taught me.
There are a whole lot more marbles in this bag. Come back to the Dented Can channel. Subscribe if you like what you hear, because we're just getting started. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again.